What if the people who have challenged you the most, the ones who have broke your heart, that you have gotten in arguments with, maybe stretched you to your edges, or the people that have just like shown up at exactly the right moment? What if all of that was part of your soul's plan made long before you were even here in this human existence? That's exactly what we're exploring today. And you guys, I am super excited. Welcome to Collective Guidance. I'm your host, Charla Goodnight, and I'm so happy that you're here. My guest today is a woman that I have followed since 2014, and I have studied her work, and I have so many of her meditations and workshops. She teaches on Akashic records, healing your past lives, healing with archangels. She taught me all about the archangels, staying positive, karma and reincarnation, manifesting happiness, numerology, astrology. But today's topic is one that changed my life back in 2014 when I was going through an intense time. And I'm excited to dive into two of these topics because there's something that I get asked about a lot. And one of them is soulmates. The other is soul purpose. What are they? How are they connected? And how do we actually find our way to both? My guest today is someone who has built her entire life's work around helping people answer those exact questions. Kari Samuels is an intuitive counselor, astrologer, and happiness coach, which I think we were talking, and there may be other happiness coaches out there, but she is the OG, the original happiness coach who helps people find meaning, joy, and guidance through astrology, numerology, and intuitive wisdom. She hosts the incredible podcast, Get Psyched with Kari Samuels, and shares monthly astrology forecasts on YouTube. And she is known for making the mystical feel practical, accessible, uplifting. And truthfully, I just love your approach and how you explain everything and make it so easy. Kari, welcome to Collective Guidance. Thank you so much for saying yes and being here.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction and the connection with you and also the people listening and watching this. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, if you would have told me back in 2014 that I would have a podcast and one day I would be interviewing you, I'd be like, get out. Are you serious? That is just way too magical.
I love when that happens, when we connect with the people that we're meant to connect with. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like we're really meant to have this conversation because this conversation is so healing. But because there's so much power in knowing someone's story, can you just tell us a little bit about how you got to be a happiness coach, an intuitive guide, and your journey that you've been on?
Thank you for asking about that, because I think the journey is important because I am a psychic intuitive. I like to help people remember their own intuitive gifts. That's my truest passion, deep, 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 deep down. And that's what the soul healing is about, and astrology, numerology. It's all about helping people remember to connect with something greater than ourselves, the magic in the universe, the meaning of the universe, because it can all feel very random sometimes, right? And so I started out when I was a teenager. I wanted to be an actress. And I really believe that the creative arts and even the movement arts, they're to help you connect with source. Mm-hmm. And the creative arts are a form of channeling. But when I was a child, I was obsessed with past lives and life between lives, meaning like this time in between our incarnations. But I wasn't from it wasn't like my mom was a yogini. Like, I come from an extremely working class, blue collar family in the Bronx. I Was always very anxious, though, very oversensitive and very anxious. And during my Saturn return, I was introduced more to astrology, like learning more about like how to cast charts or like what my chart was. And then someone handed me a book on palmistry, thinking it was an astrology book because I was very excited about astrology and talking about it. And then they handed me this book on palmistry, and I was reading it, and these coworkers were around, and they're like, "Oh, read my palm." And I was like, "Well, I'm just reading this book," but I actually had that book as a child because I was very interested in all the things as a child. But I was not the kind of psychic that like saw dead people at the foot of my bed. This was what I was just more like in my mind, right? Which I now recognize as one of the psychic senses as claircognizance, where you just know things. You're downloaded with things, right? Which a lot of artists and creative people were downloading. I just thought I was neurotic anyway and anxious. And so they handed me this palmistry book, and I was telling them things about their lives that people would start to get like a little bit freaked out because it was very accurate. And I was like, "Oh no, this is just very scientific. Like, this is just the lines on your hand," which, by the way, I don't even remember palmistry anymore. But like, they're like, "This is just the lines on your hand. It's very scientific." And they're like, "No, there's no way you could have known that." And so I did what anyone would do. I'd try to repress it. So, so I would be like, "I don't want this. This is really scary because I don't want to connect with bad spirits, right? I don't want to open myself up." But like any gift or something that wants to express itself within you, the more you repress it, the more it comes out. So I'd just be like in the supermarket, and I'd be like, I'd have to blurt out something. "Oh, I'm sorry, you just lost your father," or like whatever. Like I would just like blurt out something about because it was, an expression that needed an outlet. And so I'm like, well, I got to take charge of this. So I got tarot cards and I started studying tarot, and that was a gateway into the other things. And so I didn't try to be a professional. It's just that, what happens is like you're good at something, and then word spreads, and then someone's like, "How much do I pay you?" I'm like, "I have no idea. What? I don't know." Like, like give it to charity. Anyway, so like I recognize that I have a gift for reading people's energy, but my particular gift happened to be, instead of reading the future, I could read their past through what was in their energy. So of course I thought, well, when am I going to be psychic? Because like everyone kept coming to me, but I was like, well, I'm just picking up on like the energy that's coming from them. And then I realized in that I had been reading energy my whole life, but like we're all reading energy our whole lives because it was so natural, which I think is why they call it a sixth sense, because it's one of our senses. And it's so natural that I'm like, I got to teach this, because if I didn't know this, I was only knowing that I was psychic because people were coming to me for formal readings and paying me money. And I'm like, this is such a natural thing that we are taught to not recognize the energy and information that we're picking up. So I really want to have like an intuition revolution where like we all remember how to pick up and read energy that we're always interpreting but taught to repress.
I love that. A
I really do want
revolution.
to start it. Maybe I'll have a summit and bring you on.
I would love that. Oh my gosh. Yes, yes, yes. I would love that. I would love in movement, like you were saying, the creative arts is a total download.
Yeah.
Especially when you move your body, you're going to release energy that does not serve you well and open you up to your intuition and your soul essence more. So let's dive into it, right? Soul purpose. People talk a lot about soul purpose. And what is your take on soul purpose? A lot of people try to work so hard when they come in this life to fulfill their soul purpose. it's like we're not living because we're like, I have to fulfill my soul purpose before I die.
Yeah. Yeah.
So can talk to me about that.
Well, I'll start out by saying your soul purpose is not your career. Your soul purpose can manifest as a career as one aspect of your purpose. I am not an archangel or spirit guide, so this is just my interpretation. I just
Right.
want to clarify that. So I am not going to say definitively what
Right.
anybody's soul purpose. So I just want to like disclaimer here, okay?
1000%. I
All right.
agree. But Kari, I have to say, you have a lot of knowledge in this. So that's why I ask, take us on that journey.
Let me preface by saying how I arrived at this so that people understand where I'm coming from. So as I mentioned, when I was a child, well, I would dream that I was getting this information from these books, which I now know as the Akashic records and spirit guides. I would dream and think about these spirit helpers. I used to think a lot about what happens before we're born. And like when I was learning math and music, I was like, oh, I remember this. Like, so I have always been very life between life oriented, even as a child. And the things that I recognized when I started doing readings and tuning into people's information, I would start to talk about their karmic patterns. And I didn't even understand what I meant at the time, but that was the information that came through as karmic patterns, meaning that was the information my spirit guides were giving me or their spirit guides were giving me about certain behaviors that have been embedded over time that were causing an imbalance. And also, I was very interested in reading books like Life Between Lives by Michael Newton and like books of hypnotherapy books, people who got regressed into past lives and life between lives. And it validated everything that I had intuited as a child. So that's why I have some insight into this information. I just want to preface like this is where it came from. It came from me doing readings and getting information from spirit guides about the people and being validated by the people that I was doing the reading for.
And Dolores Cannon.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You know, I mean, Brian Weiss.
Yes. All the book. And so I was very interested in that. And it was, again, it was like a remembering because I'm like, oh, I remember this is what I've always known and intuited as a child. So there must be some validity to it. And plus my spirit guides are giving me information about past lives, healing that because I would see a probable future. But in order to make a better probable future, you had to go heal some things typically. And that's where the body of my work is. That is what my specialty is. So when I have friends who are mediums, I'm like, we work on the other side of the factory. Like, you get them when they're being like upcycled. Right. And then I'm like, right before you come down, like that's where my specialty is. Okay.
You're like, I'm going to heal, not I'm going to heal, but you're going to heal everything that you have going on from past lives to be able to attain what the medium sees for you.
Yes. Yeah. So like, I don't consider myself a medium because mediums work with departed loved ones once right after they pass, really. There's this time in between where you're with your soul group and you figure out what you want to learn, what you want to express based on the past life gifts that you've accumulated lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. You accumulated a lot of gifts over time. That's part of your purpose, right? Okay. So like, this is what you're doing on the other side. You're with a soul group, like your classmates, like your homeroom, right? Like the people that you're on this journey with. And you're like, what role do you want to take on this time? Okay. So last time we were married. Maybe this time we'll be siblings, or maybe this time we'll be best friends. And those are the people that when you meet them, you get this familiarity, like you've known them forever because you have. You actually have. But you talked about those karmic relationships, like people that you have like difficult relationships with. And usually marriage or lovers, that they have that agreement too. And it can be very difficult in the human form because when you meet them, there's usually like intense chemistry, like really intense chemistry. You cannot keep away from these people. And then by the end of it, when things crash and burn, you're like, what the hell? What was, why couldn't I get out of that? It's because you have an agreement before you're born to say, okay, I need to work on believing in myself. How about you come down as a narcissist? Let's do that. That'll be fun. Because what better way to learn how to believe in yourself is by having other people not believe in you, and you have to find it within yourself. Or other people, you're giving your power to other people. And if your karmic patterns is like not owning your power, then you're going to come down with people who you're going to give your power away to, or they're going to take it from you. And you have to learn how to have it for yourself from within. So your life purpose is typically the stuff that's been hardest for you. When we talk about career as purpose, a lot of times when people have gone through something like me, like I was anxious all the time, I was depressed all the time, I felt like bad luck followed me everywhere. And when I owned my intuitive gifts and began expressing is the opposite of depressing. And that's why I call myself a happiness coach, because ultimately I'm helping people express the uniqueness of who they are, which is the key to happiness.
Expressing the uniqueness that you are is the key to happiness.
In my belief, again, my belief.
I mean, it resonates to every bone in my body.
Okay.
That
well,
makes
that's
sense. That's beautiful. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Thank you. And so when I call myself a happiness coach, I'm here to help you remember the uniqueness of you and have the confidence to express the uniqueness of you, which your intuition is unique to you. It's often going to take you on the road less traveled, right? And so it doesn't mean you're always happy. It's just like that's the key to happiness in my view. Not expressing yourself will lead to repression, depression, karmic patterns. And when you have the courage to express yourself and express your truth and co-create what's inside of you, then that's how you attract good things to you and opportunities, and you feel good because you're being yourself.
How do we move on from turbulent and karmic relationships? How do we heal that?
So if you look at karma as like scales, they're always showing Lady Karma with the scales, right? Now, mind you, this is for your audience. Like there's karma, like Monsanto has karma by doing terrible things to people. Like, there's that kind of karma. There's like the evil of the injustices in the world. That's right. It's karma, meaning like, okay, then maybe when you come back, you'll have to experience what it's like to be on the other end of that. Okay.
Yeah.
And let's hope so, right?
Yeah.
Because we see like people don't often learn until they have like a personal experience with something, right?
1000%.
Okay. So here we go. So in terms of relationships, which is where your heart is, right? Like, because you see, you've been through that, and that's why you want to help people heal that, empower in that. That's part of your purpose. It's like, okay, if I'm meant to learn something, I'm going to come in and experience the opposite of it. So I strengthen from within. I find it from within. Now, mind you, some people have purposes where they just come in with like incredible opportunities and gift. That's part of your purpose too. The gifts. Okay. It's like, I'm meant to express this. This part comes easy for me, but this part I have to get through. You know, I've had karmic patterns where I didn't do this. So before you're born, you and your highest level guides get together and you're like, okay, well, you want to learn that in this lifetime? Let's make it very challenging for you so that you can't ignore it and you have to learn it from within. So in terms of relationships, so everything karmic is really about balance. So a lot of the karmic patterns that I tended to see, and this was really hard for me when I first started doing readings. So this is like bad things happening to good people. But a big lesson in a lot of my clients, because I am an empath and I tend to attract empaths, is like learning how to put yourself first, learning how to express your needs and not protect other people at your own expense. Because if you just visualize that like on a scale, and every time you're like, no, it's okay, I'll do it. No, it's okay, I'll take it. Oh, no, you can't handle that emotionally, energetically, physically. So let me do it for you. Let me take that on. So then you may, if you're like this, raising your hand, then you may have attracted someone that's like, good, I'm going to let you do everything. It'll be all about me. I won't have it within me to do my part. And so you're going to keep protecting me, rescuing me, doing all that thing. But what does that do to the karmic scales, right? How are you protecting other people at your own expense? By not saying something, by not sharing who you are, by repressing your gifts because you're afraid of rejection, by taking something on for other people because they can't do it themselves, or you think they can't. So when people are talking about take your power back, like these are specifics.
Or not saying anything because you don't want conflict.
Yeah.
And so you say, oh, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really not, because you don't want conflict.
That's right. So what does that do energetically?
It depletes a person. And it keeps depleting
and you're
the person.
taking on so that's again not expressing yourself.
Right.
You're not expressing your feelings. You're swallowing your feelings at that point.
Yeah.
You're not letting people fulfill their own destiny if you're trying to protect them from the planet, which is like nobody's an easy ride here, right?
No. None of us chose. When we all came into this human experience, we did not say, sign me up for an easy life. We knew the work that would be done, and we still chose the experience.
Well, even more so, like if you're an older soul, you're going to take on some advanced studies. So you're not going to be like in kindergarten finger painting. I mean, some people have an easier life in that capacity, but like the older souls, you're not signing up for that.
Right. You're signing up for the big work.
Yeah. This kind of stuff. Like, how do if I've had like several lifetimes of disempowering myself in some ways or being disempowered, how do I level that? How do I find my way to empowerment? And a lot of times it's through these challenges that makes it hard to ignore, because you want to take stuff from the subconscious. All of your patterns are in your subconscious, right? All of these karmic patterns, every experience you've ever had in every lifetime is in your subconscious. And consciousness brings it to light. So you have to have an experience that brings this subconscious belief or energy pattern to light so that you go, oh, I need to work on that.
Yeah. So what exactly in your belief is a soulmate?
There's different types of there's karmic soulmates where you've had experiences with them over and over again, and you want to keep working on things together. And then you have those soulmates that are here to uplift and inspire you for the long term. And so when we're picking, let's say, a romantic soulmate, because we have free will, you have several opportunities for soulmates, and you're meant to recognize them. You come up with some things too to like say, okay, like this is how you know, right? But there's a familiarity. You do have an agreement, but you're not necessarily meant to meet all of your soulmates, because if you take one path, you may not meet someone. But that doesn't mean you don't meet your soulmate, because there's like, if you take another path, then you'll meet this soulmate.
There's many, many soulmates.
Yeah, but then there's just like a few that you're meant to have these like deepest intimate relationships with.
Yeah.
But you do have opportunities like for different romantic, and like you could come down with saying, okay, we're going to do this for this amount of time, or we'll have this child together or whatever.
Yeah, I believe my ex-husband and I chose this life together to have the 3 boys, and
Oh my
it
gosh,
was
Steve,
from
I was thinking there's 3 kids around you. That's so funny. I was
And
like,
let me tell you, all 3 of those kids are, little I mean, those 3 boys are well, they're 3 men now,
yeah,
but in
wow.
my mind, they stay boys. They're intuitive. They
Mhm.
know.
That's
I mean,
great.
they've been raised with it, though, and if I put one of your meditations on, they would probably recognize your voice, uh, which is
Awesome.
kind of funny.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Um but okay, so we have these soulmates that we come into this life in contract with, and
Mhm.
then we have romantic soulmates. I mean, do we have business soulmates?
Yeah,
Like,
of course.
okay.
Absolutely. Just like we also have different types of guides. So there's main spirit guides that are with you lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. And if you're
Mhm.
working on a certain project, you'll bring to you a different type of guide that specializes in that or healer.
Right. So I like to say spiritual board of advisors for business, please
Yes.
come forth and assist me with marketing.
That's great. That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's exactly
Um,
it.
So there are numerous guides. Now, do we have one guide that stays with us through each lifetime?
All these other intuitives are like, find the name of your guide. I don't know the name of my guide. I
Mm,
have a team that I work with,
okay.
and that's how they come to me. So
Right.
some people have one main guide that they know lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. Some people may have a team of guides but you definitely have a team of guides, but like I don't identify with just one guide, which is very different than other psychics. They're always like, this is my guide's name. And so I think other psychics will give you a different answer, but in my feeling, it's like,
Well, and my belief is that there's no right way.
yeah, exactly. There's no right way.
It's all about working with spirit.
Yes.
It's all
Well,
about
the other
working
thing too
with
is you
spirit.
can have some not as good guides that come into your life as well that are trying to be helpful, but they're not very good. It's like having a bad lawyer or a bad accountant or whatever. You're like, you know what, I need to. So I always, when I connect with my guides and say the prayers, I bring a lot of light around me and I always say highest level spirit guides. So you want to
Highest
kind of
level
stay
spirit
in the
guides.
highest vibration of that because you don't want bad advice.
I want to go back a little bit to karmic energy with people and it being like stuck. How does someone get out of stuck karmic energy that's basically from a past life with this person, this soulmate?
Well, again, I don't know if you're ever stuck. It's either subconscious or conscious.
Okay.
It's interesting because I always say psychic protection is a lot of movement. Healthy energy is energy that moves.
Mm.
So if you're stuck in a pattern with someone, it's like, what's not moving? One thing that you can ask yourself is, what am I feeling? What feeling does this bring up in me? And how have I felt like this as a child? Because that relationship is helping you heal a pattern that you came in with. And so that pattern has probably been there with you since you were a child. So just extract the relationship and say, how does this make me feel? And how have I felt this before? And how has this feeling been following me my whole life? How do I want to feel instead? Start to ask your guides, highest level guides and angels, to help you embody the feeling of empowerment and freedom and joy that you want to feel instead. And connect with your higher self, do some journaling, ask your guides, what can I do to embody that feeling in this relationship?
Carrie, that is literally bringing tears to my eyes.
Really?
Like I just feel that. Yeah, I feel that all in
Oh,
my body. Yeah, no,
wow.
in a beautiful
Wow.
way that just really like that is the true essence of healing.
Mhm.
Asking yourself, what is this situation bringing up inside of me? What am I feeling?
Mhm.
And when did I feel this before? And that is really a beautiful way to heal, to recognize the pattern, to let go of the pattern, and then calling on your angels and spirit to shift that feeling to a better feeling.
To help you embody it and act with that new energy and
Yeah.
visualize yourself embodying that energy in those relationships throughout every relationship.
Yeah. How can we, through that right there, what are other ways that we can change our current life by healing our past life?
Well, I want to make it clear you don't need to know what your past life is in order to heal it. And there's a reason that we go through the river of forgetfulness before we are incarnated again, which is ironic because this is one thing I remembered as a kid, that we are supposed to forget who we were. I used to remember that.
Yeah.
This is so bizarre. But it is truly about recognizing your patterns, because if you are stuck in an area of your life, if there is an area of your life that has followed you over and over and over again, that is a karmic pattern, meaning you've codified that lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. Doesn't mean you've done it in all your lifetimes. It means enough lifetimes where you incarnated and said, hey, I want to work on that this time. This is my field of study this lifetime. So if there's a pattern that you're like, I always, whatever, fill in the blanks, or this always happens to me, or I always find myself in this relationship or situation, that is a karmic pattern. And it's that same formula, is to recognize how you felt that before, how you contribute to that feeling through your actions.
Mm.
That's a key, huh?
Yeah, it is. How you
Like what
contribute to it.
actions how am I enforcing this? Like how am I perpetuating this?
And once you realize what you did to contribute to it,
Mhm.
forgiving yourself
Yes. Yeah.
for
Yeah.
your actions,
Yeah.
forgiving yourself for your actions. Yeah.
Well, and the forgiveness can come from knowing that in some ways it was unavoidable. And in most ways your soul actually sought this experience because you needed to heal this subconscious pattern.
And you saying that just made me have a flashback to 2014
That was
when
rough,
I would
right?
listen to you about this was supposed to happen. So while you can forgive yourself, you can also remember that this was all of divine creation
Mhm.
and your soul chose it upon coming in to human form, but we just forgot it. Um,
Yeah, but I also don't want to get into that stuff where we start victim blaming.
right. Yeah.
You know, your soul can choose a lot of things. However, your soul wanted to learn certain lessons, and this is the way, through whatever confluence of events, that your soul. Now, sometimes we have collective karma as well, which you do choose your country of origin, but I'm very much an activist, and I don't want to get into anything like everything happens for a reason. It's like
Mm,
sometimes that reason is to become more of a fighter for what you believe is right, whether it's the
mm,
world or yourself or your children or humanity or animals. I just want to make it clear. This doesn't mean like, oh, this happened for a reason. Okay. There's cruelty in the world that is inflicted upon people. And our soul is always making the best of things as well. And so there are some things that your soul chooses that are very challenging for you to overcome. Sometimes there's like collective, like we're all like, I'm not of the belief like we create our own reality. I think we are co-creating our reality, right?
1000. I think that we co-create our
We're
reality too
co-creating
through our thoughts and our
energy.
feeling and vibration.
Yes.
Yeah, we co-create our reality
Yeah, but we're
constantly.
not creating the whole thing. We
No.
are part of a collective. Well, that's the whole thing. That's your
Collective guidance. It came to me in meditation. Yeah. Collective guidance.
Yeah,
We
so
are
this is
all part of the collective.
the collective.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to say like, oh, you know, sometimes that whole everything happens for the reason makes me want to punch people in the face at the same time.
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
think,
because it's like, actually, no, it doesn't. And
yeah.
I have actually have said that before, and it was directed at me, and maybe it was one of, look, everything happens for a reason. I gotta just like chalk it up. But that is not true.
That's not what
Not
we're talking
everything
about
happened. No, that's not what we're talking
But
about.
we have meaning in everything, though. Like we can
Right.
find meaning. Like we're living in a very terrible time in the world right now, and at the same time, we have Pluto and Aquarius, and like this is about people recognizing we have our own personal power and collective power, right? And so waking up because people were not, the whole world was in a subconscious karmic pattern. Like, okay, like let's just let, late stage capitalism happen. And like, we're good. Yeah. We're too exhausted, but it's like, this is like
everything's going to be fine. Yeah, that's not really going to happen.
Like, oh, these terrible things that are happening. Oh, that's all part of like like it's terrible. And at the same time, what growth is happening from it?
And how can we grow? And how can we become a better person?
Exactly. So it's like the soul is always looking for meaning and growing. And sometimes we have these very important soul contract relationships. And sometimes we're just here to help the greater good by being ourselves and expressing our power and actually taking action. So I definitely want to make sure we're not in this passive 5D kind of thing.
Yeah, no. I mean, we can be in 5D, but also recognize that 3D is actually happening.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, that we don't have to act like 5D is all there is.
And then we're not in the 3D anymore.
Yeah, we're not living in the 3D, and the 3D isn't affecting us.
Yeah, we are very much in the 3D. Right. As we are connecting with our light bodies, our soul. So I want to make that clear. Like, this is a place for lessons. I just did a podcast actually with an astrologer that I'm having on my site. And we were talking about myths and gods. And like, if you look at mythology or even any religion, there's never been anyone that escaped like something challenged. The gods were going through it.
Yeah. Everyone's going through it.
Our messiahs, our prophets have gone through it, right? So like, it doesn't mean there's something wrong with you or you've done something wrong. It's just like, we're here to like get through things and be strengthened by it and then help other people.
And come from a place of love and compassion to ourselves. And then once we can have love and compassion for ourselves, we freely give it.
Amen, sister.
Yeah, we freely give it to others. Kari, there is one more thing that I want to talk about because I just realized that my middle son will probably be a little disappointed if I don't ask you about this. Numerology. Can you just... Yeah. So he said to me the other week, he said, hey, do you know anything about numerology? I was like, yeah, I know about numerology. I'm a 22 life path.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And he was like, how do you know about numerology? I was like, oh, well, Kari Samuels, who's coming on my podcast. And he was like, are you going to talk about numerology? And I was like, I think so, but I really want to talk about past lives.
We're connected.
Okay. So tell me, how are they connected?
Well, again, this is through my experience. And I did not learn numerology through books. Okay. It's a gift I came in with, by the way, because again, remember I said when I was a kid, I remembered math and music, and Pythagoras, who was the grandfather of numerology, had a mystery school where they studied astrology and numerology and music and all the things. Numerology is the study of names and numbers, letters and numbers, which is just like planets. Every one has a vibration, a container of the energy of the universe that we resonate with. And your numerology, your name and your birth date and everything in your chart is a blueprint, just like your birth chart. And as an evolutionary astrologer, I look at your soul's lessons in your birth chart. And as a numerologist, I look at your name, and your birth date and the letters and numbers on your chart to see what lessons you came in with, which will tell you your greatest challenges and your greatest gifts. Also, there's karmic numbers in numerology. In books I read, it was it's like kind of like that same view of karma that I can't stand, where it's just like, you did something bad and now you come in with and since I am a natural like healer by nature, or healing facilitator, I would say, when I would see karmic numbers in a birth chart, I recognize certain traumas that they carried in to their past, from their past lives. So instead of like a mistake, like for instance, the number 16, almost always. So if you read a numerology book, they'll say like, oh, they cheated on their partner and now they're learning how to trust or whatever. My experience with the 16 is like, oh, you were killed in a war or something like traumatic like that a lot of times. And so now you have to learn how to trust the universe again. And now you have to learn, but it would give me an idea of what kind of fear and expectation they came in with. So your numbers and letters in your birth date and your numerology chart will indicate your gifts, your challenges, and your opportunities that you brought in with you, just like your birth chart. And your name is no accident, and your birth date is no accident.
No, your name is no accident.
Your soul planned it.
Yes, your soul planned it all. And it's so funny that you say that, because my partner's daughter was having a baby and they were trying to figure out the name. And I was like, why don't you just ask the baby the name? The baby's going to choose the name anyways. And she's like, the baby's not choosing the name. I'm the mother and I'm choosing the name. And I just like zipped in. I was like, okay, baby chooses her name, like, I mean, so much so that my youngest son, I had a dream that his name was Avi. My father came to me and told me that his name is Avi. The letters all have a number associated with it
and vibration.
And how does someone find out that number?
Well, I do have a lot of calculators on my website, like name calculators, life path calculators for your birth date. I have a lot of calculators. I have a free ebook. I've got lots of things. I have all the things. But if you don't want to go to my website, there's a lot of resources. I just think there's a lot of junk out there. So I'm like, I trust my resources.
Yeah.
And I calculate things in a Pythagorean way. There's different ways to calculate things. That's something else. But a fun way to look at the numbers of you just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and put the alphabet A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, like H, I, and then go J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, and then S, T, U, V, W, X. Yeah, like that.
So that is how the letters get their number.
Right. And of course, there'll be Chaldean numerologists that say that's all wrong. It's like everybody's got their own way of looking at things.
Right.
But to me, it makes a lot of sense. Like in the English language, DMV equal the number 4, which is funny because you go to the DMV, 4 is all about structure and rules and order and like institute. And like FOX equals number 6, and 6 is about like home and hearth and family, and the foxes. And like GPY are 7, and like that's like the numbers in gypsy. Like to me, it like makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I love this. I think that would be so much fun. Yeah. I calculate numbers a lot to get the one number in it.
Reducing it.
Yeah, I do the reducing a lot. Kari, I am so grateful for you coming on and sharing all of this wisdom and guidance with us. You are so magical, and I'm just really, really grateful for all the work that you have done over the years and serving other people, and you just make people happy.
I
You
want
just
to bring more light into the world. So I'm glad that you feel that.
Yeah, every time I listen to your astrology for the month on YouTube, I'm like, she is just so happy. And just you are a happiness coach to the extreme. So I'm grateful for that.
Thank you. I'm grateful for you. This was so delightful. Maybe we should
Yeah.
change your name to Delight Goodnight.
Delight, good night. I love that. That is fun. Maybe I should just change my middle name, Charla Delight Goodnight.
I love it.
You guys, if this episode moved you and resonated with you, please hit the like button, subscribe, comment, go to Kari's website, check out that numerology calculator. Her website has a lot of great free stuff on there, and her podcast is Get Psyched with Kari Samuels.
And it's
You
spelled
can find it on
Kari.
Kari.
Yeah.
Yes, Kari. Yes. Is it Kari or Carrie?
Carrie.
Carrie. Yeah,
Yeah.
Carrie. Yeah.
Or as my mom used to say, Carrie.
Carrie. The New Yorker accent.
Carrie.
Yeah. So you can find her on YouTube. She's also on all the podcast hosting platforms, and her website is KariSamuels.com. So check out her stuff, and thank you so much for joining us. And I am grateful. Thank you. Have a wonderful day, you guys.